Hey everyone, I'm Competition Coordinator and Mate Associate Director Jill Zande, and I want to welcome you to our third Facebook Live event that's highlighting the 2017 competition mission props. So today we're going to go over the Ranger class mission props. Matt Gardner, Competition Technical Manager, Matt Gardner's here. He's waving, there you go. He's going to talk you through the missions, demonstrate the props, and as always, you'll get an opportunity to ask Matt questions and get answers directly from him, directly from the source throughout this broadcast. So, just a couple of things to tell you before I turn it over to Matt. Well, I want to remind you, first of all, to subscribe to our Facebook Live events. On the screen, you should see me, and you should see a subscribe button. Make sure you click on that. That way you'll never miss us when we go live. And the other thing I'd like to say is Matt and I, we just got back. We were at Oceanology International North America in San Diego. It was a great conference. We ran a teacher workshop down there with our colleague Liesl Hotaling with the Sensit project. So look up sensit.org, put in a little plug for Liesl. It was a great workshop. We had the opportunity to walk the teachers around to different exhibit booths. And so I just wanted to give a shout out and a great thank you to our competition sponsors, Blue Robotics and Teledyne Marine, and also Video Ray for talking to the teachers. Thank you all. That was really, really great. We appreciate your support. And I also want to thank Consberg and Liquid Robotics for talking to the teachers as well. It was a great conference. So we're back here now. The other thing I wanted to mention before I turn it over to Matt is we're having really nasty weather here in Monterey. It's bad. Trees are down. My daughter's school was canceled today. Trees, power, all that good stuff. So we lost power a couple of times here on campus this morning. It's been holding pretty steady, and we hope that'll hold steady through this broadcast. But just in case we lose power, we lose Wi-Fi, we lose internet, and the screen goes blank, just know that we'll reschedule this. So I just want to put that out there just in case it happens. All right, without further ado, I'm going to turn the camera back over to Amron. Hey, he's with us. Sorry, Newman, Amron's brother. And Competition Technical Manager Matt Gardner.
Hi everyone, I'm Competition Technical Manager Matt Gardner. We're going to run through the Ranger class props today. As Jill said, we had some weather. We caused one or two small things. I actually forgot one thing at home, but I'll explain it in detail. So the prop is missing, but I'll explain it all well. The other thing I want to talk about is how many of you have seen or gone on the website and seen some of our video fly-throughs. I just want to give a shout out to Kendrick, who makes those really great fly-through videos. So if you haven't had a chance to look at those, go online and check out those, because they also, just like I'm doing today, they go through all the missions with a great video simulation. Okay, so we're going to get started. We're going to start with task 1, which is a Commerce Hyperloop construction. And since this is a construction project, as I've been saying previously, construction, you need to do it in order, and essentially you can't skip steps. So the first step we're going to do is inserting 2 rebar reinforcement rods into position on the steel base plate. So we have there'll be a bucket lid with some 4 rebar reinforcement rods. They are simulated just by PVC and a T on top. This one's a little loose. It'll be tightened up for an actual mission. But anyway, you need to grab 2 of these and put them into the base plate so you can pick them up. Put in one, pick up a second one, put another. Now, as I said, we have 4 just to have some extra. So if on the way you drop one and don't want to pick it up, you can come back and get another one. Okay, so the next step is then dropping the frame down from the surface onto here. So this frame will be on the surface. It'll have these ropes, and you have your tether manager or people at the side of the pool to do this. Now this is going to be set up as close to the side of the pool as needed, so you can drop this right down. I will send out something about extenders. There was a question on board, is can you use extenders? And yes, and I will talk more about that. But anyway, you are going to drop this down, and you can use these to rotate it around. Well, didn't quite get it that time, so try again.
Get your points, Matt. Come on.
There we go. Okay, so now it's down there. I've got my points. So once it's down on there and essentially sitting flush, the next thing is pull out this pin That will drop those chains. You can pull this to the surface. And for the pin, you can drop it on the bottom, bring it back up, whatever. Please don't walk away with it. Leave it at the mission station if you do bring it back up. The next step of this one, just make sure I'm getting everything in here, is transporting and positioning the hose. So nearby, there will be a hose, and on the end we have this grabber. It's got a number 310 U-bolt. You could grab it other ways, but this is a nice way to grab it. And this just needs to be set in here. So that would work. That would not be good enough. If it's outside, it has to be all the way inside there. So even if it's upside down, you know, anywhere like that, but once it's inside the square of the frame and dropped, you're good, you got your points. And the last part of this mission there are 3 of these positioning beacons. These are just 1 1/4 inch couplings. They need to be 3 of them picked up and brought back to the surface. And so these couplings, we put on some Velcro, and it is the Velcro hooks, so the more scratchy side on each side. And that's just an easier way to pick them up. You don't need to use this, you can grab them otherwise, but we put that on there so it makes them easier to pick up. So bring these back, set them on the surface. Okay, and that is mission task 1.
Perfect. Hey, no questions.
No questions?
But I did forget to point out, the room might look a little different. We're in a different part of campus today, a different part of a lecture forum building, which is where we're headquartered at Monterey Peninsula College, mainly because the Ranger mission props are a lot larger, as you can see over here. It's mainly having to do with the water and light
platform.
show, the platform for the water and light show. Matt will get into that, but no, we just had a hello from Patrick Rowe, hello from Petros. Hi back to you, thanks for tuning in. Mission 2.
Okay, so we're going to move on to task 2. And so on this one, you might have noticed in the build instructions that there were actually 2 different designs, a shallow water and a standard platform. So if you want to look over here. So this is actually the shallow platform with this addition. If you're using the standard platform, it'll just be this without this addition on it. And the reason we have 2 designs is the goal of this mission is you're doing some stuff on the side, then you're going inside, then you come up top to work. And some of our regional coordinators, they didn't have enough depth in their pools. Their pools were a little shallower to have enough size so someone could move inside and then still have enough size to move on top. So talk to your regional coordinator and know whether you're seeing shallow or the standard design. And as we go through this, I will talk about both of those.
Okay, one thing, and I am sorry, you can tell we're tired today. I'm
yes.
sorry. We just got back from San Diego. This is the Ranger Vibe. I typed in Navigator, I didn't even notice, and I apologize. I'm going to post it on the Facebook page, but it's Ranger. It is Ranger, not Navigator. So thank you for catching that, Rachel. I appreciate it. My bad.
Yep. Okay, so the first 2 things you have to do, and these 2 can be done in order. Now this task kind of has to be done in order. There's a couple things you can do either way. Let me make sure this is set properly. I don't think I got it set properly. There we go. So the first thing, the first 2 things you have to do, you can do them either, is turn this valve or pull out this power. So pulling out, you just grab this any way you can. You can grab by the wire here, one of these, and just pull it out. And once the end of this connector is no longer in the port, you're good, so you get points for that. And the next part is you need to turn this valve, and it needs to go for Ranger 3 times around. And that's why we have the red one handle painted red so we can see. So 1, 2, 3. So that was 3 times around. You get your points for that. Once you've done these, and as I said, you can do these in any order, then you get to come under here, and of course I'm going to crawl under here. But as a Ranger class vehicle, I'm overweight and oversized for that. So I'm not under 20 kilograms, and I'm taller than 75 centimeters. So I'm going to try and get under here.
Nothing to do with what you ate in San Diego.
Exactly.
Right?
So anyway, your ROV is going to come under here. And as I said, this is the part I'm missing. There is the thing you turn here. So it's actually a 1-inch plus that sits here, and it'll be positioned this way. And what you need to do is just grab it, pull it, and turn it so it now faces this way. And I'm sorry I forgot that. Again, if you watch the video fly-throughs made, there's a really good demonstration of this. But essentially, it will be set all the way against this, and you just easily turn it So it's touching this. Once you've done that, that unlocks the mechanism and you can come on back out of here. And one thing I will point out about this is our sizes. We actually made this a certain size. If you have a smaller ROV, you fit through here. If you have a slightly bigger one, you fit through here. And if you're above some of the larger sizes, you might have to come in this way. So just so you know, we kind of designed it so smaller ROVs, not only do you get more points for size and weight, you might be able to do this a little faster. But anyway, so once you have that unlocked, again, if you have the standard design, this will be up here. If you're in the shallow water design, it will be down here. But for this one, let's say we're going to start with the standard design and then we'll actually put it back on the shallow water. So you'll fly your ROV up here, grab this, and this will sit, it sits on a little 1-inch coupling just to hold it in place. It will have a rope with a little bit of flotation on here, and that will just hold this rope up. So you can grab it, and once you've done this, you can bring it back to the surface now, or you can do that later. So let's bring this back to the surface now. Set it here, and then there will be another one on the surface. It'll probably have a different colored rope or something different about it. And that needs to come back down. And for this one, we're going to now this time use the shallow water design. So instead of being up top, you'll come over to this side, and you would put it here. Now, of course, you're going to see one or the other. So if you have the standard design to go up there, shallow water, it's going to start here and you put it back here. Okay? And once you have this new one placed, it does need to be all the way down over. So that wouldn't count. It does have to be down mostly flush with this. And I will say another, I think I said this last time, there's some Velcro on here. This is actually just remnants from last year. You don't really need this Velcro, but it doesn't hurt anything. So that can go right down there. So once you've done that, you got to drive your ROV back underneath the platform. Turn this, it was this way, you turned it this way to unlock it, now you got to turn it back to lock it. Come on out, and then these last two steps can be done in any order, but this now needs to go the other way 3 times around. So there's 1, 2, 3, and then you got to pick this up wherever you dropped it and put it back in there, and once you're flush there, you have completed task 2, entertainment. Okay, so if you have any questions about that, write them in. If not, we are going to move to task number 3.
No questions.
Okay.
No questions, but I did manage to edit the post. So it says Ranger now, so I feel better.
Okay. So the first part of this is, we look over here, we've got sediment samples and we've got auger. Now they are going to be, there's 2 samples. They are going to be distinguished from one another. I use some food coloring. So that sample's red, this one's blue. I'll also say that both samples are going to be on a little stand like this. I only had one stand built, and as I said, we got back late last night. But anyway, they're each going to be on a stand, but one's going to be red. I put red food coloring in this one, blue in this one. They may have numbers down there or some other way to distinguish them. This base may be different, but you should be able to distinguish them. So the first thing is you're going to have to shine a light in these, simulating a Raman laser. And one thing I want to say, I talked about this on the previous 2 classes, Scout and Navigator. Raman lasers are really, really, really cool. They're this neat device that you can shine this laser at something and actually tell what it's made out of. So we'll give a shout out to Wes Thompson especially, who really helped us flesh out this mission. And if you get a chance, check out online, go online and do some research on Raman lasers because it's really, really neat.
Okay, couple of things.
Okay.
Yeah, and Wes, congratulations. Piper Ann, welcome to the world. Wes and his wife, Stephanie, just had a baby. Okay, so we have questions. First one from Missy, what brand is the auger?
I got my auger from bulkfoods.com. It's called Auger. When I went on bulkfoods.com, that's its name. And I didn't use the flakes, I had the little one. Something else about the auger, I was going to talk about this later, but I actually used 1 flat teaspoon for every cup of this, so essentially 540 milliliters. So, and I followed the instructions exactly. So our goal is not to have the auger so hard that it's tough to scoop out or whatever you're using. And I actually told all our regional coordinators when we had the meeting that generally you want to make it, I think I put this out on the FAQ board as well, you want to make it as soft as possible, but still solid.
Awesome. Okay, So then, well, Karen says the name of the laser type, Raman spectroscopy, Raman laser, R-A-M-A-N. Then I have a couple of requests. Some folks want to know how many points for task 2, and can you just tell how many points for each task?
Okay. Yes. I know overall task 2 is, I believe, we're 60 points. 5 points for every step except putting this back in as 10. I believe turning this as 10 as well. I actually don't have the points in front of me, and I will say I'm sorry that we have 4 different classes and I can't keep the points straight between every class. But it looks like Jill's pulling it up. I could actually, well, it's on my other computer.
Keep going and I'm going to pull it up.
Okay, so let's see where I was with the auger. If there's anything else I wanted. Oh yes. So the first thing you have to do is shine a light into the auger. Now here's a little light. This light would actually not be legal because it has a battery on board, and remember, we don't allow batteries in the water, so you would have to have a light. This is actually just a little LED flashlight. You'd have to figure out how to run wires to the surface or get a light that you can do that. The other thing is, we said the light has to be colored, and someone on the FA keyboards asked, can we just put like a little filter over the end of a white light? Yeah, that's fine, as long as it has color coming out. So that's what I did for this one, because it was white, just a little bit of red over it. And so what you have to do we have another question?
Yes,
okay.
I think you just answered. Karen asked, can we use another type of light other than a laser? And you just answered that?
Yeah, so you can use an LED. And so here's the thing, you can also use a laser, but if you use a laser, you need to send in those specifications to me by March 3rd, which I believe is...
Geez, next Friday.
Next Friday.
Oh, no, 2 weeks.
2 weeks, 2 weeks. But here's something I will say. So far, I have 0 laser specifications turned in. So if you're planning on using laser anywhere out there, this includes Explorer class teams, get those into me, because otherwise if they're not in by March 3rd, I have to say no, that you can't use them.
Yeah, and you know what? Listen, this is Denny. Denny asks, can the laser be controlled by software from poolside? So Denny, seems like you are planning to use a laser, so you better get those into Matt. And can it be controlled by software from poolside? A laser?
Yes, a laser or a light, whatever light source, laser source you have down there, yes, should be actually controlled by poolside. It could be a button, but yeah, if you have on or off, just remember, you do need, in the laser specifications, it does need an on-off switch. Now, it doesn't have to be a push button or a switch like that, but you do need to be able to turn that laser on and off. So if it is computer controlled, just kind of show your judge, or actually the safety inspector too, here's how we turn off our laser.
Awesome. This has a lot of questions, this task. Fam asks, can we use infrared if the camera can see it?
If the camera can see it, you can use infrared. So essentially, to get your points for shining a light in there, the judge is going to have to see that, hey, there's a light shining on this. And just remember, this is something I'd recommend practicing. We're indoors right now, but if you're out and it's a bright sunny day, like it will be in the springtime everywhere around the world where we're having these competitions, if it's a bright day, you may need to show that judge the light. So, okay. Hang on a minute, we got a...
Oh no, we're good.
We had some technical discussion. Okay.
Are we good? We're good.
We're good,
Anyway,
yeah.
Any other questions? I think I
No, that was good. There's so many questions. But I will tell you, not every day of these competition events might be a day. It might be a crappy day like we have outside. But if it's bright and sunny, yes.
So just plan on having
a
not
bright
Aberdeen.
Sunny. Yeah, somebody, Max says not. Max says it's not sunny in Aberdeen. I hear you, Max.
Yeah. Okay, so anyway, so you have to shine a light. As I said, it need to have wires, but shine a light, and we're going to shine it on this one first. So essentially, you need to be able, the judge needs to be able to tell, and I can see it. I don't know if we can see it through the camera, but anyway, got a little reflection there. So this one, you shine the light on, and when that happens, a judge is going to allow you to turn over. There'll be 2 Raman spectrum on there, and you'll be able to turn over one. So there's the first one that got turned over. And then we're going to go shine a light in the second one. So in the blue one now, shine a light in there. Okay. And when you do that, you are going to be able to turn over the second spectrum. And when you look at these, you're going to need to determine which of these has the contaminated sample. So all of these have a diamond peak, which is at 1332. This one has some little things down here, but nothing to worry. This one has two other really big spikes. So this is a diamond calibration line. This one has a big spike at around a little over 500, but a really wide spike. And one that looks to be about 1050. So on the table, you're going to have a Ranger contaminant handbook. Nope, no problem. And you can look here, but there's also some graphs. So this peak here kind of matches this one. So that's cadmium. So this means there's cadmium in the sediment. And this one at 1050 kind of matches this one. Yep, so yeah, right around 1050 there's a peak. So this one is lead. So this contaminated sample, which was the second one we looked at, the blue one down here, has both cadmium and lead. The other one does not have any contaminants. So this is our contaminated sample over here. Okay? Any questions so far?
No.
Okay.
Patrick Rowe is playing the song "It Never Rains in Southern California." Thank you, Patrick.
Thanks, Patrick. Okay, so the next thing you're going to have to do is collect some of that auger, and for Ranger class teams, you need at least 100 milliliters. So you're probably going to have a different collection device. I have a really great manipulator. And so I'm going to scoop out some of this. I'm going to start with just a little bit. Let's see. Maybe we get that much and put it in my container, bring it back up. So on the table, you're also going to have a little beaker, flask, something like this, which has some water in it. This one has around 200 milliliters of water. And I'm going to put this in, so I need it to go up to at least 300. And let's see, we're actually just a little bit below 300 here. So this was not enough auger sample. So you have a choice when this happens. You can go down and get more, or you can just take less points. Now, if you do go down for more, this has to be discarded. So anything you brought up needs to be discarded. So we're going to try that. I want my full points, so I'm going to discard this auger. And I'm going to go down and try and get more. So this time I'm going to get a much bigger scoop in there. And you know what? Just to be safe, I'm going to get a second scoop while I'm in here. Ooh, look at that falling apart. Okay, and now we're going to try this again. And I spilled a little, so this time it's still right around 200. I'm going to pour that in there. And this time, we're all the way up near 400. So this time I got around 200 milliliters, which is over the 100, so that would be full points. So again, if you don't get the 100 and only get partial points, you can go down for more, but you got to throw out that previous sample.
Cool.
Okay.
And yeah, so just to get back to the question about the points for task 2, it's worth 60 points total. And so is this task. Task 3 is worth 60 points total. So just to answer those questions.
Okay.
And if you got 100 milliliters of auger or more, you get a total of 30 points. So just to be clear on this one. Okay.
Okay, so the other part of this, and so once you've identified which one is the contaminated sample, you got to get auger, and you also have to get some clams. Now, we only have one clam bed. It actually serves both piles of auger. So no matter which one is contaminated, you're always going to grab out of one clam bed. That just saved us some space in the pool and some misprop. So right, you have to get 2 of these clams. They're made out of little rings of either 1.5 inch pipe or 1 1/4 couplings, tees, something. These are actually made out of 1 1/4. And there's going to be at least 25 in here. I like putting in 28. I found that 28 when I was playing with this gives you a nice big pile, so you don't actually have to reach down in. There's usually some sticking out. So you grab 2 of these, return them to the surface. Now, one of the questions I got on the FAQ board was, what happens if you grab more? Let's say you grab 5 of these and bring them back. That's fine. You only get points for 2, so you can bring back more than that, and that's okay. Okay, so once you've got your sediment sample, the auger, and some clams, you have to cap the system. So here's the cap for Ranger class. This is just a Rubbermaid roughneck container. Got some big things here, so when you're pulling it through the water, it won't rip or anything, but this will be down here. You gotta pick it up. And for this time, for Ranger class, you need to cover the entire rectangle. So that would not be sufficient, but that would, because you're all the way over that rectangle and you can't see it. Now, I did have another question on the FAQ board. What happens if, as you're getting clams, they get spread around, which is probably going to happen. You don't actually have to cover all the clams. What you need to cover is this rectangle. So even if you have clams spread out and about, you still only have to cover that rectangle there.
Okay, we got some questions.
Excellent.
Can we do this? All right, so Gregor asks, do we have to correctly identify the auger to then go for the clam? Oh, geez.
Yeah, let's see if I do have it. That's a good question. Ask it. We'll talk about it later, but ask it on the FAQ board and I will verify it.
Okay.
Yeah, so yeah, ask that. Yeah.
Okay.
Ask that on the FAQ board and I'll answer
Okay,
that.
Gregor, put it on the FAQ board. And another question from Karen again. Can we lower a basket to the bottom and put the clams and any other things that we need to bring the surface in the basket? Matt.
Yes, you can. It's a good time to talk about it. I had that scheduled for the end, but we can talk about it now. So yes, for all these things you need to collect, you can have a collection basket that you put things in. Now, there's two things. The collection basket does count as debris. So if it's in the pool, since you built it, it's not a mission prop. Since you, if it's in the pool when time ends, you do get a 5-point penalty. So one thing I'll say is pull it up, a couple seconds left to get that out of the water, and so you don't get a penalty. And the other thing is any collection basket does need to be included in your size and weight, and of course in your safety, but a collection basket does need to be included in size and weight measurements. Okay, I hope that answered it.
Yeah, and I think that's it. So what I'm reading in the manual is you have to identify, once the contaminated area is identified, then you can collect the sediment sample and the clam sample. You could do clams first, then sediment, or sediment and then clams. But it's my understanding, and again, ask Matt on the FAQ board, that you have to identify the contaminated area first.
Yes. And like that, that's what I thought as well. I just didn't quite remember, and I did want to check it, but yes, ask that anyway, and I'll confirm it officially on the FAQ board. But yes, you do need to identify these before you start picking things up. Okay, I think that's it for task 3. Yep, we have the cap placed, and just so you know, this, we talked about you can grab clams auger first, but once you place this cap, you can't go down. So let's say you got some auger, but it wasn't quite enough, and you already placed a cap. You can't go down even though this auger's in cap. Once that cap is placed, you can't go back and collect either more clams or more augers. Once that cap is placed, task 3 is done. Okay, so let's move on to task 4 unless there are any questions.
No more right now.
And let me make sure I got all the FAQ board questions.
Oh, wait a minute. There's a question from Fan. He says, in the Ranger prop demonstration video, the ROV places the cap only partially over the clams, but the team still receive points.
Yes.
Because that's not the Ranger prop demonstration video.
Right. So what happened was Kendrick made this video, and we are actually going to upload a new one. He's fixed it. I don't think we've got it uploaded yet, but that was one of the issues. I actually said, when he sent it to me, I'm like, oh yeah, that's fine, and then I went back and said, oh, that's not right. So the answer to that is yes, this cap needs to be placed all the way over. In that Ranger video, it only shows it like that, and they do get full points. That has been corrected, and we are going to post that new one up there. As I said, that happened maybe today, hopefully today. But yeah, good notice. That's something, like I said, I missed the first time around. I noticed the second time around. We got it corrected. We just didn't have time to post it yet. Yeah. So,
Bam, thank you. I'm going to like your post.
Yep.
You caught that.
Excellent.
Good job.
Good job. Good question. Okay, moving on to task 4, unless we have other questions.
Nope, not right now.
Okay, so safety, risk mitigation. This can kind of be done out of order. There's some logical steps here. But the first thing is locating the 4 cargo containers. So what you just need to show the judge is that there are 4 cargo containers out there. If you can do it from a wide angle, go, hey, there's 1, 2, 3, 4. These are pretty easy points. If you are doing this closer, and to help you keep track, you'll notice there are stripes of tape. So this one has 1 stripe, 1 here, 1 here. This one over here has 2 stripes, 2 and 2. This one has 3, and this one has 4. So that is just in case you are, getting in closer and you want to show the judge. The judge will know, hey, I've seen 3, 4, and 1. Whoops. Sorry. Okay. Wires on the floor, which will be a little bit better in the pool. But anyway, that's what you can see that they are different. Okay, so that's the first step is showing the judge all 4 of these. The next one is inserting the sensor into the port. So your sensor is just a little PVC plus, half-inch plus, with a magnet on here. And on each of these cargo containers on the red T, there is a magnetic reed switch, and that's what these wires connect up to a board on the side. So what you need to do is come down with this magnet and line it up. You will hear and see over on this little device that we're running to, we got a buzzer and there's a green light went on over there, okay? So that shined the green LED over here. So also on your table, you'll have a Ranger Container Manifest Handbook, and you can page through this until we see find green, orange, red, pass. Oh, there's green. So green, we have the container ID number, which you need. Its contents are waterproof matches, and that is hazard class 4.1. So as you flip back to the front of this, hazard class 4, flammables, moderate risk. Now normally you'd think flammables, well, those might be high risk, but hey, we're operating underwater, so they're only a moderate risk underwater. So container 1 is a moderate risk. And why don't we film that and I'll just double check. There we go, got that green light going there. Okay, so now we're gonna check container 2. So come on over here. And that gets a blue light. Okay, so you can come back or you can have someone else doing this as you're driving around, as your pilot drives around. So blue is, oh, look at that, I got lucky. So blue, container ID number, what you need, contains glow sticks, and those, no hazard there. So we have 1 is a moderate hazard, 2 is no hazard. Let's check number 3. And we got a red LED going on. So we're going to come back and check this container manifest handbook for red. Where's red in here? There's red. Container ID, what you need. Content, sulfuric acid, and it's hazard class 8. So hazard class 8, corrosive substance, and that's the high risk. So container 3 is our high risk container. Fifth falls, it falls. Okay, and we're going to go number 4. And that is a white LED. So we're going to come over here and check white, which I guess it might be the last one. Nope. Ah, there's white. So you have your container ID. Its contents are rubber duct, and that of course has no hazard. So now we know that 1 is the moderate hazard, 2 and 4 are non-hazardous, and this one, 3, is our highest, the high risk, highest hazard.
Right, and we have some questions.
Okay, go for it. Yes.
Okay, so Pam wants to know, do we have to use the mate-provided magnet?
Yes, you do.
Yes, you do, Pam.
Yes.
Another question. Max wants to know, can we integrate a magnet into the ROV, or do we have to use the magnet?
Yep, same thing. Yeah, so
same
yes.
thing. Sorry, good question.
I think it does say that you need to use our magnet. You just say right there. Okay, so just one other thing I want to talk about. With these magnets and magnetic reed switches that we're using, alignment is somewhat important. So I always say practice, but you'll notice it's going along this way. If you go perpendicular, it doesn't always go. So you need to be a little bit, there it goes. So you'll notice there's a little bit of a dead space there, and you need to get it about 2 or 3 centimeters away. So I recommend practicing with these. Part number for these are in the build instructions, the parts list. And do practice with these so you know that if you come down this one and go, hey, it's not working, it's because you didn't align it properly. You do need to align it properly. Okay? Now, I think, yep, so those 2 tasks were, we inserted the sensor to activate the RFID, so you get points for that. And we use that RFID color, essentially, to identify each container, and you get points for that. So the next part is attaching a buoy marker to the highest risk container, which is container 3 out there. Now, as Ranger class teams, you need to build your own buoy. Mate is not providing it for you. So what you need to do is attach that buoy to the U-bolt here. So you'll need to build the bottom end of it. We'll have some sort of hook, carabiner, whatever you want. We don't really have any specifications other than it has to pass safety. hook onto here. You'll need a rope, line, wire, something up to a float, which is orange or red, which needs to be floating on the surface. So that's pretty much the only requirements for that. But again, you need to build and bring your own. Okay, the last few steps of this is we need to make a map. So we need to determine the distance and direction. Now, how you measure distance, how you measure direction is up to you. I'm going to use just a quick tape measure, and we're doing that. We're measuring the distance and direction of these other 3 containers from the most hazardous. So, and we go from the very top of the U-bolt here. So we have a distance here. This is actually 104 centimeters. This distance is, let's see if that will stay there, 134 centimeters. And this one is 137 centimeters. So there you have distance, but again, you can do distance however you want, but you do need to measure. You can't just guess. You can't go, that looks about 1.5 meters. That doesn't work. You have to actually measure something. And the other thing we need to do is determine direction. Now, before the event, they're going to have, your regional coordinator will tell you essentially what direction the pool is north. So for this demonstration, we're going to say that is north. So it's hard to see, but there are some lines here. We're going to say they're running north to south, and that is north. So again, you can determine direction any way you can, and we're not looking for exact angles. We're just looking for one of 8, either north, northeast, east, southeast, south, one of the 8 compass points. So this is our most hazardous container. That is north. So I'm just going to kind of eyeball this. I'm going to go, hey, you know what? That's east. This one, that one's south. That one, that's more west, that's south. I would say that's probably southwest. Okay? Now, one thing I will say is, didn't do it today, but we're going to have, we recommend connecting the bottom of these, and this is also for when you practice. Put PVC in here, and connect them, do hard connects through here, so that they don't get bumped. You know, like especially if you're going around and this one gets bumped out of here, it's now no longer, well, we measured this at, I believe, 104 centimeters. It's now no longer 104. So make sure that these are all hard connected together so they don't move around as you bump. Because as we know, ROVs bump into things and might move things.
Yeah. Hey, we have a question.
Okay.
And Matt's right. And so all regional coordinators know that too. So when the regional,
Yes.
when your regional gets set up, they'll have the crates hard connected with PVC or something they choose to use, but just to hold those distances in place. So Max, hi Max, I'm glad you're tuning in. Lots of questions. Do we have to identify the crates to put buoys on them? Is Max's question.
Well, you're only putting one buoy on, and you're putting it on the most hazardous crate. So yes, you actually need to know all 4 hazard levels, so you know, hey, this one is the most hazardous. In this case, number 3 was the most hazardous. That's the one I need to connect my buoy to, and also that's the one you need to measure from. So all measurements, the buoy goes on the most hazardous container, and all measurements come from the most hazardous container.
Okay, another question from Denny. Thank you, Denny, for asking. Are the container sides parallel? Are the sides of the containers parallel?
No, they don't have to be. I do have them like that here, but that is not a requirement. But again, what you're measuring from is the very top of the U-bolt to the very top of the U-bolt. So even if this was this way, you know, now you'd measure from there to there. Even if it's that way, you still got a distinct point on the very top of that U-bolt that you're measuring distance and direction from.
Okay.
Okay, any other questions?
Nope.
Okay.
Nothing else so far.
So, once you do that, you are going to make a map. Now, you're going to have a blank map, just like this, on the table, and you can draw it in. Now, I'm not going to sit here and draw it, but this is one that you could draw. And this is more or less this one. The distances aren't the same, but what you're going to do is this is your most hazardous container. We had one out east. Now, again, as I said, this distance I wrote in beforehand, so it's not accurate. The distance are, but you know, this is how you're going to make your map. One other thing is, if when you're measuring, you have to be within 10 centimeters. If you get that wrong, your judge will tell you, hey, you know, that's not within 10 centimeters. And you can go back and remeasure it. You can't get points for measuring it again. So if you miss even one measurement or one direction, you don't get those points. But you can go back and try it again just so you can make that map more accurately and get points for that.
Cool. And a question from Paula. Hey, Paula. Paula asks, how would you suggest measuring those distances?
Well, there are lots of ways to do it. You know, I don't have a direct suggestion, oh, you should do it this way. But, you know, you can. There are teams that pull tape measures underwater. So they maybe have a little hook on here that they can hook on here and pull it. We've had teams use lasers to measure things. We have had teams, you know, I said 2 lasers parallel so they can tell distance. Now one thing, and if you read the build instructions, it's the very top first paragraph, don't use the dimensions of this to measure. So I don't know them off the top of my head, but you know, if you figure out, hey, this distance from here to here is 33 centimeters, don't use that to measure distance here because these may change. All our props, they are mostly, they're hand built, you know, it all depends. So what we say is never use anything we build as a reference for trying to estimate size from that. Okay, so other ways to measure distance. You know, you can have a rope that has little marks on it, which would be very similar to a tape measure. Lots of good ways to measure distance.
Cool, okay, no other questions.
Okay, I think that's it. Yep, once you make your map, a few other just general things. So the things that are on the surface that you have to take down, for example, for the fountain, if you want to drop things in the pool, instead of bringing them down from the surface and taking them down, if you want to drop them in the pool and recover them from the bottom, you can do it, but you need to drop them right off the edge of the pool. So you could do that and then go down and pick it up. What you can't do is this. Let's say, you know, you want this to go on the standard. You can't do this. Of course, I missed, but you know, you couldn't toss this out and hope it floats down, sits here, so you just have to do that. If you are going to drop anything, you need to drop them right at the side of the pool. What else are we going to talk about? Collection baskets, we already dealt with that. Talked about that. The last thing we also kind of mentioned is if you do have further questions, post them on the FAQ board. I will get them answered when I can. As we just got back, so I haven't answered them in a couple days, maybe a week. And I'm going away soon, but we'll get them answered as soon as we can.
Okay, another question. Ace asks, are we responsible for removing our buoy? Good question.
That is a good question, and no. You're not, if you can, that's great, but we can have you can use diver assistance after that. It won't be a penalty. Once a mission is in, the divers will detach it for you. But being said, make sure, you know, it's somewhat easy to detach. You know, we don't, you know, our divers might have gloves on or something, so don't make it so complicated that a diver can't get it off there.
That's great. And Ace has another follow-up question. Okay. What happens once we hook the buoy and then we run out of time?
So if you have hooked the buoy, once you hook this in, if you have hooked here and you have a float on the surface, you get your points. Now afterwards, the diver can unhook that for you, and even if the diver is lagging behind and that takes, usually there's that 5-minute demobilization period, even if the diver doesn't have you back to you in that time, that's not good. You're not going to be penalized for that.
Ooh.
Am I
being too
nice?
No, I have another question. Okay. Lisa asks, doesn't the manual specify that the ROV needs to transport a new fountain? So you wouldn't be able to drop it in by hand?
Can you look that up in the manual? It probably does, yeah.
Hold on.
Sorry, as I said, it's...
Yeah.
But yes, you do need to transport it down. Again, you know, you can drop it down and transport it from the bottom over, but you can't throw things out into the pool trying to get them closer.
All right, I'm looking. There's the locking. I'm looking. The new fountain. Okay, let's see. The new fountain. It will be located. I don't know. I don't necessarily see that. Yep.
Go up to the points.
Oh.
Go up to the points.
Yep, I'm going up to the points.
No, it just says installing the new fountain.
Yeah, and I don't see anything in the notes. Honestly, we'll look more carefully.
She says page 20. Page 20.
Okay. Oh, page 20. Oh, thank you. Oh my gosh, thank you. Okay. So page 20. So So here's a length of rope. Well, okay, companies must exit and install the new fountain. At the start, the old fountain will be located. We got it. The new fountain will be located at the service side of the pole and can be attached to the vehicle during the 5-minute setup period. It doesn't.
Installing a new fountain is defined as a fountain.
No longer in contact with the ROV resting. That's, you know what?
We'll tell you what, we'll ask that on the FAQ board. We'll look through this when we have a little more time. And
I get what you're saying because it says it can be attached, but it doesn't say it has to be attached. Yeah. So I think there was a question prior to that about can you throw the new fountain in? But ask it again, and we'll get clarification.
Board, and I'll look through.
Last sentence. Oh my gosh, I'm reading this. Okay. Yeah, successful installation is.
That's something else.
That's something else. So let's. The new fountain must be transported by the ROV.
Yep, it does.
Okay, so never mind. Hey, you are on it, Lisa. I am so gonna like your posts because that was awesome. Thank you.
Yep,
it
must be transported. Again, sorry for not knowing around the top. It's a lot
of my God, yeah, there's a lot of stuff. You're on it. Thank you so much for being on it. Anything else? I'm looking. Denny, oh my God, Denny, another question. When we get to the pool side, can we pre-boot our hardware before arrival? Pre-boot? You mean software? Pre-boot or?
So you can only plug into our power supply during the 5-minute setup. So you're going to be waiting just a little bit off the side, and then when you're ready, the judges say, okay, come on in, you can start your 5-minute setup, and then you can plug in to our power supply. Now, if you have a laptop or something that you're running, that could be powered up beforehand, but you can only plug into our power supply during the 5-minute setup. Hope that covers it.
All right. Oh, okay. Ben, is the weight of the ROV include the whole tether or just a meter length?
The weight and the size includes all of the tether, so almost the entire tether. You can leave your control system and 1 meter of your tether out of both the size and weight measurements. So as you have your ROV, you can kind of set the control box, whatever you have as a controller down the side. You want to wrap that tether around as best you can. If you go online, you can see, we did make a video about this this year, so you can go on the website and check out the size and weight video, and it has a little more explanation. But essentially, yes, it weighs all the tether except for the last meter near the control box.
Cool. Okay, I don't see any more questions.
Okay.
Are you good?
I think we're good.
Okay.
That was all the other things I had to cover, so I'll turn it back to Jill.
Okay, so cool. So I just want to say a few things. I think I'm watching to see if any other questions are coming in. All right, thank you all for tuning in. And don't forget, subscribe so you don't miss any more live events. Because I will tell you, yes, Ken, I see your posts. We will see you at Underwater Intervention on Sunday. Matt and I and 3 of our CMATE students, including Newman's brother Emron, Newman is behind the camera, Emron is coming with us, will be at Underwater Intervention. It's a conference and exhibition. It's held in New Orleans, Louisiana. It is sponsored and organized by the Marine Technology Society's ROV committee. Shout out to them. They're a huge partner and a great sponsor in our ROV competition. And it's also organized by the Association of Diving Contractors International. So we'll be there all next week, and we may do some Facebook Lives. We may surprise you and do some Facebook Lives. Take you all around the exhibit floor and talk to some of our competition sponsors and other vendors who are there. So I want to mention that. Yes, Ken, we'll see you. Let me see. Anything else coming in? Oh, I'm looking. Oh, Karen, sorry. New question. Can the team still compete if over the weight limit?
No. If you are over...
Ranger class, over the weight limit.
I know if you're over the size limit, you can't, and I believe now, if you're over the weight limit, you can still do your product presentation or other stuff, but you cannot do your underwater mission. We'll verify that.
Let me see. I'm looking at size weight restrictions.
Should be at the very bottom.
Weights, an ROV weighing more than 20 kilograms will not be allowed to compete. So if you are over, you're not going to be allowed to compete. If you missed out on some of the stuff at the beginning, this video will live on our Facebook page. It will also be put on our Vimeo and YouTube pages, just like the Navigator and the Scout prop demonstration videos are. And once I get them up there, I'll put links on the Ranger page so you can go back through everything that you missed. All right, so we'll be doing Explorer class demonstration. We're not going to be doing it the day after we get back from a trip, because clearly we're not at our best form when we do that. We're going to be doing that in early March, so stay tuned for announcements for that, but we'll get Explorer class done. And I think that's looking, yeah, thank you, you're welcome. I think that's it, so I want to thank Newman. Newman, show yourself again. It's Newman, not Emran. There's Newman. Hi. Okay. So tune in. Thank you all. Check it out. Remember, next week at On Water Invention, we'll be doing some Facebook Lives. We definitely will be doing that. Okay. Goodbye, everyone. Have a great weekend.